Hello humans, I can promise you, this episode will be a little bit different than the others you have heard here before. Yes, artificial intelligence will be the hot topic. Yes, music of course, also. But we will not dig deeper into how music is made with an AI, but how it is protected by it. Not exactly the music, but the musicians. Before we do that, and I will tell you more about that, I want to mention the news that I have read some days ago. Sony Music took a step forward to protect their artists against AI use. It said Sony has sent a letter to 700 firms around the world, Google, Microsoft and OpenAI included, demanding to know if they have used its songs to develop artificial intelligence systems. What sounds a little bit funny in my ears, they have given a deadline to respond and they say they will enforce its copyright to the full extent permitted by applicable law, such as the EU's AI Act, for example, which has just passed. I would actually not call this a letter, but rather a threat. Although I do not agree oftentimes with major labels, I think it is a good step towards a solution concerning artists who are currently not paid for their contribution in datasets. But if, because of this letter, and that is important to me, in the end not only the big stars make profit for being in datasets or the big labels, but also the artists who are not well known, who contribute with their music, that is a really good thing. Story to be continued. Let's start this little show.
This is the Illiac Suite, a podcast on AI-driven music. Join me as we dive into the ever-evolving world of AI and music, where algorithms become the composers and machines become the virtuosos. Yes, this music and text was written by a computer and I am not real, but
I am, and my name is Dennis Kastrup. I remember the days when I said one day we will be able to create a whole song with an AI by just prompting some words. I was sure it will happen someday, but I never thought this will be possible so soon. We talked about this here in the Illiac Suite before, for example, about Suno, and now there is Audio also. What will come next? One thing I realized, I kept on saying with every new step how it is insane that an AI is possible to do it with just some prompts. Same thing also happening for videos. I think we can now all agree. Everything is possible and nothing is insane anymore. We have to accept that. Although, one thing that is sadly insane is the fact that online exists a world full of hate speech these days. And here comes the connection I make with AI and music. I met some weeks ago on a rooftop on a sunny day at the South by Southwest the German Sarah Egetemeyer. She told me about her startup Penemu, an artificial intelligence that scans comments on the internet. And that works like this. Once the AI finds inappropriate words, it marks and filters them. Unfortunately, this hate speech happens a lot under music-related posts. I found that really interesting and important to talk about as we experience more and more hate online. So this time in the Illiac Suite, Sarah Egetemeyer is my guest, and I leave it to her to introduce herself.
My background is actually a little bit of business, but then I switched to philosophy because I thought I should do something properly. Many people think it's the other way around, but I found, okay, I want to understand more things. I studied cultural studies, philosophy, linguistics, different things. And I worked in the field of cultural management, so to say, for quite a while. But that has not led me to where I am right now. After that period, I decided to found my own organization. It was a social business dedicated to gender equality and female empowerment. And I worked in that field for some years. And there I realized that especially women, but not only women, are kind of afraid to become a public figure or to be more present online. And that was the first touch point for me, really, to think about how vulnerable are you when you're exposed on social media, and especially if you want to be kind of a role model to others, and then you realize okay, but that also comes with some risks. You are exposed, people might hate, put hate speech on you. And that was the first time I really got to the topic of hate speech, which is the connection now to Penemu, where we protect people from online hate and violence.
Before we get into how exactly they do that at Penemu, Sarah tells us how she met her co-founder Jonas Navid Mehrabanyan Al-Nimri.
I met Jonas, my co-founder, because I asked him to be a speaker at one of our events from that organization for a more equal startup ecosystem and female founders. That was what we were pushing. And I asked him to be a speaker and talk about how you can combine being a startup founder and having a family, for example. And after that, we talked about, what are you focusing on right now? And he was at that time focusing on a project with the biggest public broadcaster in Germany on hate speech. And as I said, I was thinking about hate speech from a slightly different angle, from that women's perspective. And I found that so interesting that, public broadcasters are also having that problem of hate speech on their social channels. And then in the beginning, it was very, open how we would collaborate on that. But then after a while, we realized, okay, we really want to work on that topic together. And in the end, I stepped back from my former organization, and there is a great team running it right now. And we co-founded Penemu then together to really focus on that field of hate speech protection. And he was working in the field of AI before, so it was very clear for us that we would use AI to do what we do right now.
I guess we all know, unfortunately, what Sarah is talking about. You find hate online everywhere. And since Elon Musk owns Twitter, that hate sails pretty often under the flag X right now. Not sure how you deal with that, but I protect myself these days more and more in the way that I don't go in these rabbit holes anymore. I put my phone away and look at the trees and birds outside to calm down. Sounds really silly, but seriously, it works. I'm happy about the fact that I personally have not experienced hate directly under my accounts so far. No shitstorm has reached me. But that is different when you are more exposed to the public, especially as a musician. What really shocked me when talking to Sarah was that even in the field of music, so much hate exists. Nearly every publication is now accompanied by hate, I've been told. For me, it was until recently clear that mostly politicians face these comments. But for music, well, yes.
We have musicians, obviously, artists, who are exposed. They are public figures. And through that, they also need to communicate on social media, because that's just part of the job at the moment. I don't know if there are many musicians out there who don't use this kind of communication. So they are vulnerable in a way because they are exposed on these channels where they can be approached quite easily by just anyone. And you want to interact with your community also. You want to be there and let people communicate also to you. But at the same time, you don't have a protection that there can be people who don't want to say nice things to you, but be really, really bad. And that's what we hear a lot from, that musicians say that people are writing them not only comments, but also very bad messages, like in the direct messages from social media networks. And it affects them. So there are some artists who say they don't read it, or they found a way to live with it. And some people say, okay, you just, have to be kind of, that it doesn't bother you or something like that. But I think this is not the right way to look at it, because then not everyone could be a musician or an artist if you would need to have that I don't care attitude. I think it's a better way to think about that, to give these people protection and make them feel safe when they communicate online. And it's not only on their social media channels where they post something, it's also when they live stream, for example. It's a different feeling if you are giving a live concert and you know there is like hate speech going on in the comments. It's not a good feeling. And we know from artists that even if you get like 10 good comments who really appreciate your music and your artist's work and everything, and then there is one really bad comment, that's the one you think about at night. That's the one that, bothers you again and again and again, and you criticize yourself or you think you're not good enough and things like that. And especially when it comes to racism or sexism or even threats. Like we have one artist that we're working with, she's really getting threats, like someone tells her he or she, I don't know, is wanting to kill her and her whole family and everything. It's not so easy to just, not think about that. So, it can really affect your mental health, but also your artistic work, because you are exposed to that kind of hate and violence, basically.
Of course it does affect you. I mean, on the internet, most of the time we do not see the faces behind the comments, but just imagine a room full of people facing you. And there you see 2 or 3 people who shout at you and maybe make signs how ugly you are and even that they want to kill you. How would you react? It is impossible to ignore that. And usually what you should do is kick them out of your room. Tell them that they will never be allowed to be in your presence anymore. That would be a normal reaction offline. Unfortunately, it is not that easy online, because people can come back under different names, different pseudonyms. But what can you do on the internet to protect yourself? You can filter comments before, and that is what the AI from Penemu does.
The first step is not AI, of course. The first step is to find the comments or to, read through the comments that are on the profiles that we protect. So this could be a public figure, like a person, or it could also be a music label, an organization, a company, etc. And then we kind of read through all the comments and the posts, and we look for explicit hate, which is right simple. You don't need AI for that. You can just use like lists. But that's to make it quick. We also do that. So look for explicit harassment, discrimination, threats, etc. And then we also have like natural language understanding implemented. So we understand sentences, which is very important because hate doesn't always come very explicit. So it can also be using stereotypes, for example, for anti-Semitic sayings, or being racist when you just say someone go back to where you came from or go back to Africa. That's something we read a lot. Or also monkey pictures, for example, as a racist expression. So we need the understanding of pictures. We need the understanding of semantics, like what does the sentence mean, and not only where are bad words, so to say. And then we also have the phenomenon of coded language, like really racist sayings that you only know when you are in a kind of scene where you know that this language code is being used to express something that's actually illegal. That's something that we always need to evolve and adapt, because language changes very quickly, and also these codes do change a lot. But that's something where we put all our expertise into. Also, we look for illegal content, and that's also something that can change. I mean, we have the law that is like the base of it, but then also we look for, okay, what has been decided like recently? Have there been changes? And then we try to implement that also into our algorithms. And then we basically categorize. So we tell, like, is it hate, yes or no? Is it toxic? Because that's like kind of different category. So hate speech is when you're being threatened because of belonging to a certain group, like because of your gender, because of your race, because of your religion or something like that. And toxic could be just like offensive language, which is also something you might not want to have. And then we also classify if it might be illegal or not. And then we suggest what you might want to do with that kind of comment, like would you want to delete it or would you even report it to the police? So that's like in very simple terms what we do.
In the case of reporting it to the police, Penemu has just started a new service. They work together with the German Office of Justice. So all these illegal wordings will now directly be reported to the office. Concerning all the other comments, for me the question arises, how do they do that deleting? I mean, there are sometimes live events also happening, like live streaming of concerts. When is the moment they delete comments?
So we can do it basically in real time. We have a little delay of maybe some 1 or 2 seconds, but we integrate the API. So we integrate the service like Instagram or whatever it is, or YouTube that you use, into our tool. And we call our tool the Digital Guardian Angel. So you have everything that you use, like your social channels, integrated into our tool. And then when you first set it up, you tell us if you want us or our AI to delete things, or if you rather want to use it as a pre-moderation, that we just give suggestions and make like a stack and say, okay, we suggest that you delete all these comments. And then all the comments are put into one stack where we think it should be deleted. Or we can also stack the ones that we think should be reported to the police. And then you can go through and decide, or most people might also have someone who helps them in moderating. And then these people can do that. But you can also put the filter directly so that we would delete it. And then we would make screenshots from the comments that we would report to police, because you need them. You also need the link. You need to have them as proof.
I'm pretty sure some of you are already asking this question. Wait, they are deleting comments? They are controlling kind of what is to be said and what not? This sounds like censorship. Sarah has your response.
Yeah, it's very simple. We are not allowed to say everything that we want. That's why we have laws, and we can't do anything that we want because there's a saying that my freedom ends where the freedom of someone else begins. And I think that's also in the freedom of speech. There are rules, and that's not us who define these rules. We just try to help people to execute these rules, basically. So we don't define anything new, not at all. We just use the law that is already there and analyze what's online according to that law. So we are not in any way like a moral instance or anything like that. You can also imagine like we're like a camera and filming what's happening. And if there is a crime happening, we just say, okay, here's a crime. So we don't define what is a crime. We just apply the rules that are already there to the online space. And I think many people don't know that things are illegal online. Some people, out of whatever reason, think that they can do really anything because it's online, because they're anonymous, I don't know. But that's not the case. So I can't tell you, okay, I'm gonna kill you, and then it's fine. And I can't say that in real, but I also can't say that online. So I think it's rather, reminding all ourselves that there are already rules in place, but they're just not being followed so well. And that's what we try to help in that case.
And these rules concern, of course, also the forums and sections under videos, for example. Let's take YouTube. Why don't they already control the comment section and filter hate speech?
Why don't they really take the responsibility? I can just guess, and I don't know in the end. We had some conversations also when we were in Texas at South by, where we also met, that they don't want to be the big censor. So they want to have independent bodies who do the moderation for them, who are explicitly trained also and have a lot of knowledge about hate speech, about the actual law in that field. And they want to basically externalize that part. There are other people who say, well, they could do it, but they maybe profit from the interactions that we all know are likely to be very high when there is a lot of, maybe not so kind comments. So in the end, we don't know why. And I would like it, the world to be like that they would just take care of it. But as they don't do it, we thought, okay, we can't wait for that to happen, because all the people are already out there right now and don't get the protection that they deserve. So that's why we thought, okay, we will put all our knowledge from AI and everything into that and build the best language models we can to protect these people.
I've talked about it many times here in the Illiac Suite, the problem of data sets in artificial intelligences. As also mentioned in the beginning of this episode, musicians should know if an AI was trained on their music, and if so, they should get paid for that. Not sure if we will sort that out in the future, but I'm still crossing fingers. One day there will be a solution that fits everybody. In the case of the AI for Penemu, another question comes up for me. I mean, to train the AI, to find all this hate speech, they must gather kind of all the hate on the internet to feed their AI, right? So where do they get that from?
We use free datasets that are out there that we just find. We sometimes also buy datasets. Then we have some customers who allow us to use their data because they want to make our algorithms better. So the annotation we do on our own. So that's what we also think where our magic lies, that we have a lot of knowledge about anti-discrimination and online harassment and everything. So we annotate the data ourselves. So we use the raw data that we can get, like for free, or we buy it. It's very important for us that we don't just scrape the whole internet, because it's simply not legal. So we have different data sets. Sometimes we also collaborate with universities who have worked on a specific field, like, for example, anti-Semitism. There's a lot of very good research that has been done in that field. And then sometimes we can collaborate on that. Yeah, and then we do the annotation ourselves, like in our team. And of course, our customers also help us to retrain. They can tell us if they like the decision that our algorithms do, or if they wanted to, have the moderation work differently. And then we implement this feedback also again and again.
To sum it up, Penemu kind of gathers on their servers all the dark stuff of the internet. They have all the hate on their servers. And if you work with that every day, you also must see or read a lot of hate. How do you deal with that? Does that frustrate you? Does it change your belief in humanity, maybe?
I'm okay with it. I have kind of a distance. I'm just happy that I know we can help people in that. And it also, I think, gives you a sense of control, or that's at least what I feel, that I know we work together with the police. So just this morning, something came in and someone sent me several stories from last night where a woman that's very exposed at the moment gets really awful comments. And I don't really go into that emotion then, like, oh my God, how bad is that? I rather feel like, okay, what are we doing about it right now? And then you come into action mode and you you want to help this person, you want to have a solution for her, because it's not just a case of just moderating it away. This is a bit special, so we are doing it in a one-to-one. We are helping her more than we would. It's not just the app user, so to say. So we sometimes then also have a personal conversation with these people and see if they also need maybe more support. And that's where we work together also with nonprofit organizations who have also psychologists in their teams to support people if they're really suffering from it. And I actually feel very empowered, because I know there are many things we are doing, and that actually makes a kind of good feeling and gives you a sense of control. I think that's very important, because if you feel helpless and like you can't do anything and you're just so vulnerable, I think that's what makes it really bad.
In countries such as the United States, France, and Poland, there are already similar companies that use artificial intelligence to combat hate comments. However, Penemu is currently unique in Germany. It offers the service in 89 languages. The startup is thus making an important contribution to artistic diversity in pop culture, the well-being of musicians, and
I think it's very important to understand that if people are hating a special person, they're not mostly just meaning that person. So they are projecting onto people. And what they actually do is they are silencing people. And when we look at who is being attacked the most, it's mostly vulnerable people. It's people who are already discriminated against a lot in real life. And then this happens again online. It's Black people, or it's different genders who are not like the mainstream. And that's why we know that it's actually a threat for democracy, because people are being more and more afraid to say their opinion online or to be a public person at all. And those who are hating getting like more and more space online. And that's what we want to, actually end, or at least reduce, to make online spaces, who are the most important spaces that we have for discussion, for our democracy, basically, to make these people, these places safe again for all people, especially for those who are attacked the most.
Thanks, Sarah Egete-Meyer, for talking to me about Penemu and their AI that filters hate speech online. I think you're doing a very important job. To all the listeners, have you experienced hate speech? Can you tell me something about this? Have you experienced it as a musician? Let me know that. You can write me and find my email in my notes to this episode. Check out the service of Penemu. It is worth it. That was the new episode of the Illiac Suite. Thanks for listening, humans. Take care and behave.